I just got quadded. That was fire. Super sweats. What? Oh! So obviously after using the can, I had a little bit of hype and a little bit of frustration. Welcome to the channel. My name is JGOD. In today's video, we're going to give you a best class setup and talk a little bit about the buff and nerf that the can just received. We're also going to be breaking down a little bit of Hacienda, explaining the spawns so you could better move around the map and maximize those kills while minimizing the deaths, which in my opinion is the most important part of the video. So even though we're still working with that 1.16 update, they did introduce a few little balancing changes that you can see right here. And the only weapon that was adjusted was the KN57. You can see right here it had an increased 4-shot range, and they slightly increased the recoil. And right at the top of that, you can see it's for all platforms. That's going to include PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And I'd like to know your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. Did you guys notice any changes to connection? And that's regardless if it's better or worse. But from my personal experience, I felt like it got worse. I usually sit between 20 and 40 ping, but for whatever reason, whatever they did in the last week, now I'm currently sitting between 85 to 110 ping on a regular basis. That's just something I thought I'd bring up in case you guys have been experiencing the same thing. Getting back to the KN57 buffs and nerfs, I don't really feel like it was a noticeable difference, especially when it comes to the recoil. I don't think they modified anything in any way where you actually need to equip grip, because this is a very low recoil weapon. If you can handle even the slightest recoil, you're going to be fine handling the KN. And even though I didn't do any testing on that 4-shot range, I feel like it's slightly noticeable because there's some scenarios where I just felt like maybe I should have lost that gunfight, but because of the buff, I actually won it. And you'll see that throughout the gameplay. So what you're looking at right here is the overhead view of the map Hacienda. So those slightly red areas you see on the left and the right of the screen are where the spawn locations are for this map when you're playing TDM or kill confirmed. And you can see it's broken into 4 different sections, that yellow line being the approximate middle of the map, and those green dotted lines go ahead and separate those sections even further. So generally what you're looking to do is try and get a majority of your team near this yellow line, and then depending on what direction you're trying to push, you want to get as close as possible to that green line without actually crossing it. And if you're playing solo like I was, this is going to be very tricky to do because as you gain map control, it makes it that much easier for your team to push up to that green line where they often run through it because they don't know any better. They flip the spawns, creating a running simulator where you have to run back to the opposite end of the map to reach that other green line. So right here, what you're going to see is my one and only death. The guy luckily had FMJ on and decided to go for the shot and wallbang me through that wall. So the entire time I'm playing, and I think most good players do this, is you have that overhead view of the map in your head. You have an idea where the spawns are, and you're going to make adjustments based off what your teammates are doing as well as your opponents. So if you happen to catch my tip video on one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of players run into, you'll know how important the minimap is. So you're going to have to be combining all this information, that overhead view of the map, the minimap live in the moment, your gunfights, paying attention to who's on the screen, where people are moving at. For example, if you look at the minimap right now, you can see that the majority of my teammates are on the east side of the map or that right side of the overview map. So even without the UAV in the air, I would have known that most of the enemies are going to be on the west side of the map or the left side of that overview map. So now we talked a little bit about the spawns and map awareness for Hacienda. Let's go ahead and jump into the class setup for the KN57. So as you can see, it's pretty obvious I don't have an optic, so I'm not running with an optic. When it comes to the rest of the class setup, I'm using hybrid mags. And you could obviously swap this one out with extended mags. I kind of go back and forth on that one because the extra 10 bullets allow you to get an extra feed, but overall you can reload just that much faster. So that's really going to come down to preference, so just choose whatever makes sense for you. The next attachment is not a matter of preference in my opinion. I think rapid fire is a non-negotiable on this weapon. And the main reason for that is because if you do not run rapid fire on this weapon, it is kind of middle of the road in time to kill. But by changing it up and including that rapid fire, it makes it that much more competitive and allow you to win more gunfights. Next one, which sometimes people don't always agree with, is a suppressor. I think overall it's going to reduce that muzzle flash, which will allow you to be a little bit more accurate. Besides that, you're going to also stay off the mini map when you fire your weapon, which is a huge plus when you're trying to go for those flanks. Especially when you consider the fact that this weapon received 2 different buffs as far as ranges go. it's not going to take a big hit if you're running that suppressor. So that was one of those instances where I think the buff helped. That guy got absolutely demolished. And the next attachment I run with is stock. You can easily swap this out for quick draw. Again, that's really a matter of preference and your playstyle. For the rest of the class setup, since I am running Crash, you're going to go ahead and see me run that ComSec device, Tactical Mask, and Dead Silence. Obviously, if you're not going to run Crash, you could easily swap out Tac Mask for Scavenger. And if you don't want to run ComSec device, go ahead and try Stim Shot or Acoustic Sensor. At the end of the day, that's really a matter of preference as well. So up to this point in the match, I've done a really good job of cycling through my streaks. I'm playing Arms Race TDM, which allows you to get your score streaks that much faster. So that's kind of why I built this class setup the way it is. Going ahead and rotating around the left side of the map, which you can see right here. And as I push around this side on the water side, I take a quick peek into the spawn. There's a lot of people there. I don't want to rush it. You can see we're kind of on that right green line. See if the guy's going to come around the corner. He does. I snap on him, destroy him, and then snap onto the second guy. And that to me felt like one of those scenarios where that buff to the 4-shot range significantly helped. So right here, all I'm doing is trying to read the minimap. I know this guy's coming around the corner. As he jumps around, my Thresher ends up taking him out, but I pretty much would have won that gunfight anyways. You can see the spawns have flipped to the west side of the map, or that left side of the overview, and you can see that pretty much everyone is spawning on this side of the map. So I don't really want to push that deep. You can see I'm kind of on that left green line and just trying to peek into this area. My teammates push a little too deep. You can see they're way too far into that spawn. And now, more than likely, the spawns are going to start to flip. And at this point, I'm pretty much recognizing that. You can see my teammates are literally running through it. So as soon as this guy gets killed, I already know that the spawns are going to flip completely. And you can see as soon as that UAV passes, all the enemies are spawning on the opposite side. There's a guy down below. I'm kind of waiting to see what he does. He's kind of camping it out down below, and I don't want to make the risky move because I got like 4 teammates there. I know no one's moving. Everyone's kind of behind me. I peek out, get a quick kill, and I get the double kill. Again, another scenario where I think that buff actually helped the can. A lot of these close range engagements where it might have been 5 bullets to kill, feels like now it's 4. I'm not sure exactly what they were trying to do with the rebalancing here because the gun to me feels way better than it was before, and it was a beast already. And to me overall, this feels like the best all-around rifle in the game because obviously the ICR is probably still the best long-range weapon and the Maddox is that close-range weapon. So maybe after all those changes, the KN is actually perfectly balanced because now you have a full spectrum of weapons to choose from. Not sure where the Vapor fits into that mix, but overall, if you've still been sleeping on the KN57 after all the different buffs and changes, I highly recommend giving it another test run so you can see how it feels. So if you look at the minimap right now, you can see the majority of my team is kind of pushed beyond this yellow line and is very close to this green line where a lot of them are pretty much standing in this stairway area. And because of that, we've had a spawn flip. So a lot of times, even if you don't have a UAV, you got to be aware of these things so you can position yourself the right way. Looks like my teammate took care of that guy. I'm pushing around. We got a strike team on the floor. And now majority of the enemies should be pushing through this right side. So even though this isn't the sweatiest lobby ever, you can see that I'm pre-aiming and I fire as the person is coming out of the doorway. And probably another gunfight I won because of that buff. And you can see that I'm pushing through the spawn, which is kind of against what I've already been talking about. But at this point in the match, I'm just trying to race for those final kills. The strike team is taking up a lot of those. The guy has an attack chopper on my team. Plus I have the Thresher coming in. So there's a lot of these kills that I'm just trying to chase after. With only 5 kills left in the match, obviously we know what happens. I ended up going 38-1. I only had that first death right at the beginning of the match. I hope you enjoyed the content. If you did, hit the like button. And if you want to find your way back to the channel, just go ahead and make sure you subscribe with notifications on. Appreciate all the support. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day.